What's up guys, Jerry here. I'm cruising around and I figured I'd come in and talk to you about a new movie because there's been a lot of those lately. It's summer 2015, there's a lot going on, so let's get right to it. It's been a long time, man. It's been a long ass time. Oh, the sun! It's been a long time since we've been to the wonderful world of Jurassic Park. You know, we went, we saw the original park open, then we saw the aftermath of that, we saw the toll those dinos took on the Southern California area, and then later on we saw the remnants of the other island, and Ned Flanders, and his adventures there. And now we're back with a new trip. That's right, Jurassic not Park, but World. And how's the movie? Let's talk about this. Now I gotta split this review up into like two ideas because I'm gonna tell you, first and foremost, I had a really fun time watching this movie. I really enjoyed just myself in the theater, okay? We saw it on IMAX, 3D. The 3D is okay, but you know, seeing it big was really cool and a lot of fun. And so I think there's a lot this movie does get right. It doesn't get everything right, but it does get it right. And if you're there for dinosaurs and, you know, a rollicking action adventure, that stuff I think is pretty good. That stuff is a lot of fun, you know? I kind of was swept up in that wonder, you know? The dinosaurs are cool. The whole thing with him being able to train and work with the raptors was a lot less cheesy in the movie than I thought it was going to be from the trailers. I really like the attention they paid to animal behavior, how Chris Pratt's like training all the raptors with a clicker and treats and stuff like that. Whether or not the science is on, it at least seemed like some nice attention to detail. And I really like the amount of effort they put into the park itself, to introducing Jurassic World as an operational theme park and really communicating just the awe of that thing. You know, it's like I spent the first half hour of this movie being like, man, I would love to go there. Like, this looks so cool. I can see why somebody thought this might have been a good idea. Because Jurassic Park, you know, you don't need to have seen the first movie to sort of go, this is probably a bad idea. It's probably not going to work out the way you wanted it to. And I feel like that's sort of the message of all these movies. And it never does. But, you know, the first part of this movie, you know, getting to see the park and getting to spend time there and all the different world building and details, I thought that stuff was a lot of fun. And it had sort of that Spielberg-y vibe. So props to them on that. And when, you know, shit hits the fan, so to speak, I thought that stuff was a lot of fun, too. You know, the cast is all really charismatic. I enjoyed Chris Pratt. I thought he brought a lot to the role. I liked him a lot more than I thought I would based on that clip that they kept showing us. I liked the kids. I liked Bryce Dallas Howard. I really liked having Jake Johnson and Lauren Lapkus there to add some humor into things. And I really liked their contributions to just the world and the story. And I was really happy every time they were on screen, especially Jake Johnson. And Jake Johnson gets some of the best dialogue in the whole movie. I mean, everybody nowadays seems to want to throw in a sort of Phil Lord, Chris Miller-esque self-consciousness moment or a joke of some kind, and this movie does that too, and I thought Jake Johnson just really did a good job with that. And they're even joking about, you know, name brand stuff in terms of the dinosaurs, and it's just, he's got a lot of really funny lines and stuff like that, and he's one of the supporting characters I really enjoyed. Irfan Khan, Omar Sy, like all the supporting cast, I really like the cast they assembled. Vincent D'Onofrio's good too. He's a bit of a 90s villain to me. He's sort of that guy with the big military agenda who's, you know, all about, you know, firepower and that sort of thing. But he does a fine enough job with that. And, you know, the stuff, if we're talking a real critical review, like I said, I had fun watching this movie. I really enjoyed my time there, and I would like to see it again. It is a lot of fun. But as long as we're talking in review terms, you know, there are some definite flaws with this movie. First and foremost, just some of the writing and the characters, you know, there are some really cool things. There are some things I like, some ideas they touched upon. I like what they did with the owner of the park being, you know, this kind of new agey sort of enlightened guy who's really into, you know, the guest experience and you know, respecting the majesty of these animals and stuff like that. And I like that the script over time starts to kind of push the boundaries of that and reveal that he's not completely in control. He doesn't know where everything is going, and he is fucked up too in this situation. But what I think really sort of starts to take away from the movie for me is I really like Bryce Dallas Howard. I like her performance, but the writing of that character sort of drove me nuts after a while, because it's like you can draw, you know, sort of very by the numbers, you know, very organized, very sort of anal retentive character in a way that's realistic. And the problem is, this movie kind of draws her to be so anal retentive and so inflexible to anything that's outside, you know, the book. It's like they really drive home just how rigid and structured she is, you know, just how much she represents order, because there's always the theme of order and chaos in a Jurassic Park movie, and they draw her as such a slave to order that it becomes ridiculous after a while. It's like, given all the things she has to react to, nobody would be that. After a while, it's just dumb. Like, you know, you would learn, you know, and it takes her forever to learn in this movie. And when that character finally starts to loosen up and finally starts to sort of sink her teeth into the actual situation at hand, the writing of that character gets better. Bryce Dallas Howard does a good job with it the whole way through, but they spend so much time just punching you in the face with how straight-laced she is and how much she doesn't view these creatures as intelligent at all, which it just doesn't seem like she would have gotten to this point if she didn't understand a little bit, you know? I kind of hated that they made her so rigid for so long, because she just didn't seem like a real person to me. And the Vincent D'Onofrio character, like I said, kind of comes across like a 90s villain in a way where it's like a one-note guy, and you've got this dream to use these animals, you know, for combat purposes and stuff like that. And the thing is, again, I didn't really like that storyline up until it started to pay off later. I could have done without it until it starts to pay off, and then when it starts to pay off, it gets a job done, and it's necessary. I feel like the script could have done a better job incorporating it, because it's like, in all the preliminary scenes with Vincent D'Onofrio, it's pretty clear, like, his idea is pretty implausible. If you're that character watching the things that are happening, it doesn't seem realistic as a plan. So again, that character kind of comes off as dumb as well, but, you know, he's drawn as being a little bit of a meathead, so it's a little more in line as opposed to the way they draw Bryce Dallas Howard. The script does leave certain things to be desired, especially in the way it draws certain characters. Even though it's a bit lumpy to me, I generally liked the two brothers. I like the way they drew them for the most part. I like what they gave them to work on together. They gave them some life, and, you know, ultimately, it's a summer blockbuster, especially now, and you don't go to these movies for, you know, insane amounts of well-written, you know, but there are some things about this script that are well done, I thought, and really clever, and there are other things about this script that I'm like, why do we still need this? Like, you know, why do we still have to have, you know, cool bohemian guy and really straight-laced woman? And, you know, selfishly for me, I wish there had been a better incorporation of animatronics and puppets and stuff like that, just because, you know, the first Jurassic Park did it, it looked fantastic. And the dinosaurs here, like, these effects are top-notch, you know, they paid top dollar for these, and it shows, they're good. But, you know, still, there's that charm and that realism that comes from a puppet or an animatronic that I do miss. They used it here and there, but not to the degree they did in the first couple films anyway. The attention to detail is really good. There are some decisions that are made that feel really realistic, and there are some other decisions that are made that feel very unrealistic, and you can feel the weight of four writers, you know? Not necessarily as bad as you might in some other films, but you can feel that four writers had their hands on this film, because certain things work a lot better than others. Certain things are a lot better developed than others. You know, just based on that clip they showed us before, I kind of expected not to like Chris Pratt a little bit, because they pitted him and Bryce Dallas Howard against each other in that, you know, sort of stereotypical way that I'm really kind of tired of seeing, and I'm surprised we're still doing, where it's like, you know, oh, we went on one date, but you're too straight-laced and I'm too bohemian, you know? So I was fully prepared to hate both of them kind of in different ways. But yeah, it worked out better in the movie than I thought it was going to. Not that it worked out great, but I thought both of their performances saved it from some of the pitfalls the writing has. And the music's all good. It's really cool to hear the old theme again. The cinematography's good. Nothing like overly flashy, but it looks good. They shot their effects pretty well. There aren't like a lot of crazy shots, but they do a lot of good stuff with, you know, wide angles, just showing you the vastness and you know, the sort of detail of this park, this world. I kind of found myself missing the scope a little bit, because the first Jurassic Park is really good at, and like even recently Godzilla was really good at communicating scope and really making you feel just how huge these creatures are. Because this is a monster movie, you know, and going back, you watch the first Jurassic Park as a kid, you're like, oh, cool dinosaurs, and you don't even realize until you go back, or at least I didn't until I went back and saw it again as an adult, that's a horror movie. That's a monster movie. Jurassic Park is very scary, and I kind of miss that in this one. This one's more action than it is monster. I could have done with a little more suspense for my taste, but that's just me. So I think if you're going back just to have fun at Jurassic Park again, you know, to see the spectacle of dinosaurs and all that stuff, I think you'll really enjoy this for that reason. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of an uneven film, but ultimately, you know, I had a lot of fun. And that's what I went to this movie for, first and foremost, was I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to be back at Jurassic Park, and that stuff is really good. I had a blast. I want to go see it again, just for the fun of it, but in terms of a film, it's definitely got its flaws. So yeah, Jurassic World's the movie, and what do you guys think? They're obviously gonna make another one because they've broken so many box office records. What do you think we should see for the next Jurassic Park movie? Let's talk about that. What would you like to see? Is there a dinosaur you'd like to see come to life? Because my favorite dinosaur made it into this movie, and I was really happy, so yeah, Jurassic World is the movie. I am Jerry. Until next time, cheers.